Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Khan-Bashir and I'm here to talk to you about the future of family law. Thank you for joining us at the LegalEx Virtual Summit. I'm really excited to be here and I really hope you'll enjoy this presentation. I've been a lawyer for almost 25 years and I have a family law practice in the north of England. We have offices in London and we have offices in Cardiff. We really enjoy what we do, but we want to go a little bit further than just simply providing legal services. We want to provide a more holistic approach, and that's the reason I wanted to talk to you about the future of family law in that context. So, on the 6th of April 2022, the Divorce, Dissolution and Separation Act comes into effect. This is the biggest change to divorce laws in 50 years, and probably the only way that most of us have known divorce laws. This signifies the end of the blame game, and it's an opportunity, I think, for us as family lawyers to refocus on the needs of our clients and what actually the impact of our work is upon our clients and their families. So I would suggest it's a time for change. Next week, we'll welcome the start of no-fault divorces. No more reasons and no more blame. There's going to be simpler language used, so the petition, as we know it, will now become the application. And the petitioner becomes the applicant. There's also, for the first time, the ability to divorce together. Now, you probably have had clients come to you many times, as I have, who have actually decided to separate or have been separated for some time and want to move forward together in a collaborative way to move on with their lives. But the processes that we have currently didn't allow clients to do that. For an example, we had a couple who were divorced for some time and wanted to sort out the financial settlement together. They were agreed on everything. They were happy with the legal services advice that we offered them. But we were our hands were tied in trying to then take the next step with them together. We actually did try to do that. We had a financial agreement that both of them were happy with and both of them had signed, but the court couldn't place it anywhere. They couldn't figure out why both were applying together, because obviously it didn't fit into the current process we had, and insisted that one became a litigant in person. So, we did try. I think we were there before our time. But the spirit of family law is clear. There should be less confrontation and more collaboration. The responsibility for change rests with us now, I think. People don't need a system which pits them against each other. So, co-designing your practice, bit of a bold step, but let's see how we can work together to ensure that couples and families can access the help they need to resolve their problems, move on with their lives, as we're always saying that our clients are trying to do, and improve their future well-being. The pandemic brought about a big shift change in the legal industry, some of which was all about the legal well-being of lawyers who were working unreasonable hours and were suffering as a result. But what about the legal well-being of our clients? So let's start with a question. What exactly do our clients need? So, do you know what your clients need if you're considering a client-centered approach? Here's what the research shows, and my own experience. Clients need flexibility. The way they work has changed. The way they access legal services should change too. Clients' expectations have changed in that there's a rise in legal technology, means that they can access legal services or legal advice where and when they want. But are we meeting that need? They want more flexibility in how they communicate with us. So an example for us is that not everybody has access to emails, not everyone has access to broadband, but most people seem to have access to a mobile phone. WhatsApp, we found, was a great tool for clients to be able to communicate with us freely whenever they needed to, and we could pick up the messages when we got them WhatsApp calls or messages. But it gave them a bit more flexibility and a lot more privacy. Paying bills, that has changed a lot. The pandemic has helped with that in terms of there is an increase in digital access of paying invoices and bills. So we need to think about flexibility. How do we make services easier for clients to access? Looking at easier access to the law. So clients that call me are often confused, scared, and completely stressed, but they're not sure what to do next. So we know that there's many barriers to legal services. For example, pricing is one, knowing how and when to seek advice. Language is a big one. Now, the legal jargon that law uses is difficult enough if English is your first language to grasp. But have you thought about those whose English would be a second language, or they actually have very little grasp of the English language? This needs to be in our minds when we are offering or marketing legal services. Also, navigating different services. Clients, probably you've had experience of this, will call and think that if they access a divorce, then the children's matters, the financial matters, everything is contained within that same application. So it's about clear messaging, giving that client that assurance that you have their best interests in hand and that you will take them along their journey with as least stress as possible. Human touch. Now, everyone is moving towards legal tech, and we've seen that now with the online divorce, but it's still an emotional subject. That hasn't removed the emotion out of applying for a divorce. So even with improved online experiences, we're still seeing that clients want to see us. They want to talk to us. We're still having clients wanting in-person meetings. We also are able then to assess that client and see what other services do they need to help make that divorce journey a little less stressful. So it's not just being able to fix the legal problems for them. It's able to recognize that maybe they need signposting to other services. Cultural and religious understanding. We've had many clients who will come to us either from an existing lawyer or have chosen us because they feel we get them. So we understand that client's demographic, we'll listen to their background. We have solicitors who have experience of cultural and religious understanding, and that immediately creates a connect with that client. A connect which creates trust, which creates then the free flow of information, which to me makes you better able to do your job and provide better legal services for that particular client. So it's like a not one size fits all approach, has to be in the centre of our minds. A reality check as well. This is incredibly important. You will all have experiences of clients that have, different expectations from accessing legal services. That old narrative of fighting or winning. We need to try and change that. Nobody wins in family law. No, there is no clear winner. Everybody is emotionally charged, and we need to tone down that kind of narrative. So here we have a flowchart, which it looks fairly complicated, but if you follow it through, what it's actually demonstrating is for a client journey, what the number of services that they may need to access on that journey. And that looks pretty daunting. I wanted you to see this, to see why clients are confused and stressed. They will ask themselves a question, what do I do now? If we can go some way into addressing that with the client, helping them answer that question, then I think we are well on the way to providing better client services. So this quote is something that we really need as family lawyers to have in the forefront of our mind when we are offering family law services and dealing with clients that require those family law access systems. To reduce confrontation and in some cases trauma, we need an integrated and more inclusive family law system. So all of those reasons mentioned, what do we need to do this? Building a more integrated and inclusive system. What does that actually mean? What does it look like? So in terms of integrated, Currently, someone going through a divorce or separation may need to contact several agencies or services, as the flowchart previously demonstrated. An integrated approach makes it easier for clients to find the information they need. Making things easier will reduce the stress, the anxiety, and I would suggest then the overall impact upon mental health. Inclusive services. As Lady Hale said, the definition of family law has changed. Who gets divorced has changed. We need a system which considers their needs. What I'm really saying is the no-fault divorce is like a launch pad to now look at all family law services and the systems that we have in place. Are they diverse enough? Are they accessible enough? We can use this as a catalyst for real change. So let's look at both of these in more detail. The integrated system, what do we need to do? So a client's next step may be the use of a local directory and guide. With so many different steps and services, we need a local directory, a pathfinder if you will, that helps people, clients, navigate their next steps. This should even explain what services are available, including mental health support. This is being trialled in some parts of the UK and actually works. You'll have heard of a one-stop shop in other sectors. By way of an example, I attended the launch of a organisation called Men Reaching Out last week. And everyone knows that there is, you Google, there'll be a list of services, justice for fathers, etc., that men going through divorce and separation or parenting issues can access. But actually seeing the number and the way to access these services that are out there for say, men in particular, there is a vast amount of information out there. How do we collect all that? How do we create a place where everything is in one place and clients can access that? That's the challenge. Everything is out there. How do we join the dots? Better data. So what's the impact of divorce and separation in our communities? Have we ever looked at the number of GP referrals, the court time, the mental health support, the financial problems? You know, many clients are having to take out loans to pay for legal services to help them with their marital issues. Have we looked at suicide rates, contact centres, housing needs? For us to be able to design better services that meet the needs of our new and different clients, we need better data. Interagency collaboration. So similar to the death notification service, which you may be familiar with, can we not provide a divorce notification service, making one step in that divorce process a little simpler, rather than the client having to contact all these different agencies? Is there something similar where a divorce notification service can do the same thing? Again, one less job for the emotional client to think about. What do we mean by an inclusive system? So, accessibility. 14.1 million people in the UK live with a disability, but only 2% of the world's most popular websites are accessible. If we're improving our digital experiences, and certainly the world is telling us that's the way we need to go. You know, there was a recent digital legal tech conference that took part in Leeds, so everything is pushing us in that direction. We need to make sure it's accessible to everyone. It's simply not good enough to say, I have a website, end of story. Look at your website and ask yourself, is there anything you can do to improve it, to make it accessible to all clients, regardless of background, faith, disability? Is the software accessible to everyone? Do I need to add more languages? These are basic questions we can ask ourselves straight away. Cultural understanding, and this is a big one for me because of the demographic and the range of clients that we represent. Family law is perhaps an outlier when it comes to legal services. Clients want and should expect us to understand their experiences and background. Last year we launched the My Nikah collection, which looked at the Islamic religious marriages. And we created a series of articles and free family law guides for Muslim women with the aim of improving access to the law. We're seeing nearly 3,000 visitors per month, so the demand is clearly there. The place-based approach, now this is so interesting for me because from mediation to parenting programs do we consider whether our clients can access their service they need, and are those services relatable to them? And what I mean is, when we refer a mediator, are we thinking about the mediator that is being used by our client? Is it someone that our client can relate to? You know, we represent quite a number of young Asian men, so referring them to someone that may be more relatable than somebody who is white and of a different gender to them. You know, it could be a barrier, and it's something that we may need to think about. I did another podcast with a mediator called Derek Mason from the London Mediation Service, and it was a client in particular that I referred to him who I felt Derek would be more relatable to, and the result was exceeded my expectations. I mean, this was a case that was ready to be litigated, to go to court, but Derek, who was able to relate to the client that we referred, was able to sort of take the sting out of the whole process and help the client understand, you know, what the end result would be, which would be more time with his son. So that's just by way of an example. Parenting programs. Firstly, do we all recommend parenting programs to a client? I mean, as a family lawyer, it seems a bit of a, that's the first thing you would do to assist the client in thinking about his parenting journey. But the number of clients that have come to us who have been dealt with by other lawyers but haven't been recommended a parenting program, I mean, that's the first thing. But the second thing is, there are different parenting program providers. Should we do more to make those other parenting programs that are from more relatable cultural backgrounds that might be a better fit for our client? Should we be doing more to make those more accessible or accepted by the courts? So a service which is designed by someone from a similar background can help to build trust during a difficult time for them. So that's essentially what we're trying to say here. So a new approach. So by way of an example, what we are trying to do is, we have been working with a lot of people in the family law world, and one way we've been doing that is by doing podcasts, Family Matters podcasts, that we try to do at least once a month, and I mentioned it earlier with Derek Mason. But one podcast, we were interviewing or having a discussion with a local psychotherapist who specialises in working with young Black and Asian men, and the discussion that took place for the podcast just signified to us that there was so much work that needed to be done to make legal services accessible to that demographic who essentially thought that they were shut out from the whole family law legal services approach. So it was thinking about their needs, trying to meet their needs. The pandemic, the lockdown, everything saw an increase in young men reporting domestic violence at home. Possible consequence of the tensions, you know, by the lockdown, and calls from men fearing that their anger and anxiety may spill into violence. We identified a need of early intervention in terms of legal rights and services for those young men. So obviously it's not going to completely erase the impact upon their mental health, but we hope that it will go some way to reducing that. So we're trying to work with this organisation by ensuring that their clients have access to more affordable and more relatable legal services early on in their unfortunate journey of relationship breakdown. So the next 50 years is up to us. That's a big responsibility. But how do we start with all of that? We place our clients at the centre. So no fault divorce has set the foundation stone for change. It's a real exciting time for us. It's now our responsibility to make the changes that our clients need. Our language matters. How many times have our clients have asked us to fight for them, or I want to win? So the impact of what we do lasts a lifetime. Reducing confrontation starts with the way we communicate with each other. We can do this if we work together. All of these changes are only possible if we collaborate with each other and wider service providers. How often do we use the word collaboration within family law? But we need to actually do as well as say. So finally, the whole presentation is all about how this approach benefits clients, and that's ultimately what we want. But how does it benefit us? So the research has shown again that only 6% of clients choose a law firm based upon price. A whopping 33% rely on recommendations from friends and family. I mean, that to me signifies the value of delivering great client service. So that's the end of my presentation. I am around for questions or any comments or any further information if anyone needs it. Please get in touch with me. I'd love to start this debate about all of this new change that we can start today. Certainly, definitely from next week with divorces beginning. But please get in touch. Those are my contact details. I'd love to hear from you, to hear your views or have further discussions on this subject. Thank you.